Greetings from the heartland of America. I'm Derek Gilbert.
I'm Sharon Gilbert, and you and I are in different rooms.
This is really unusual. We've been doing PID radio in the same room together for 6 years now, and this is
I know, and we're in different rooms now, and it's because we're doing PIDtv. Now, this is the inauguration of our PIDtv, and it's something that we hope to do every weekday, and as long as you get to come home,
right,
and just discuss the main storylines from the day's events. I put a quick video up on YouTube earlier today. Our YouTube account is, as you're seeing, as you're watching it here, is PID Radio, all one word. Mm-hmm. And we'll also have this posted at PIDradio.com, and we may have its own page, but we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
So anyway, day's storylines.
Well, today's story, of course, is
the gorilla in the room.
As we record this on August 1st of 2011, is the passage of the debt ceiling bill by the U.S. Congress, vote of 269 to 161. It was pretty much a done deal. I think it was a foregone conclusion that they were going to pass a bill. Just the final form of the bill and who was going to take the blame for it was really all that needed to be decided. And I guess that's all been hashed out in committees. And we'll see a $2.4 trillion increase in the United States debt limit. This is the largest increase in the U.S. debt ceiling in history. The second largest was the one last spring under Barack Obama. So he is now responsible for the two largest increases in the United States debt in history. It was during our lifetime, Ronald Reagan's presidency, that the total debt was only about $2.4 trillion.
To go along with that, of course, today's bill that was passed, you're going to have to tell Sam to lie down because I can hear him scratching at the door. Just tell him to lie down.
Lie down.
Today, of course, we got the cuts. They're cutting almost $1 trillion in expenditures.
In the same way.
Over the next 10 years.
Yeah, so $100 billion a year.
They are imaginary cuts.
Yeah.
Much like I've been on an imaginary diet. I've lost an imaginary 112 pounds this year.
By not eating those boxes of Krispy Kremes.
Eating them. Yeah. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. I've cut out so many calories by choosing not to eat Krispy Kremes every day. Of course, I also have sandwiches and crackers and the occasional tortilla chip and things like that. But I've chosen not to eat those Krispy Kremes. Therefore,
you've lost the
weight. I've lost the imaginary weight.
That's the kind of accounting that the U.S. Congress is using. Sadly, we're looking at this would be like a family with a combined budget, combined total income of $22,000 a year that spends $37,000 a year. Okay, the U.S. takes in about $2.2 trillion, spends $3.7 trillion. So we've got a $1.5 trillion shortfall, and that's using the phony baloney accounting that would get corporations, corporate accountants tossed into jail.
And we need Mel Brooks to say that, too.
Right. But let's just assume that those numbers are accurate. So you got a family that earns $22,000, spends $37,000 a year, and says, we're going to default on the money that we owe, the $15,000 a year extra that we need to make up, if you don't raise our credit limit. That's what the U.S. Congress has just done. And as a promise to its creditors, and to the American people who, we're going to have to make up this shortfall someday, mm-hmm. They've told us that they're going to save, as you said, $1 billion a year.
No, almost
$1 billion, or $100 billion a year.
Exactly.
But again, that's like saying, I'm going to save $1,000 a year out of this $15,000 shortfall. But that's only by saying, okay, I'm not going to buy that new 60-inch flat panel TV. There's our $1,000 savings right there.
We could drive this into the proverbial ground, and it would feel really good to do it.
Metaphors out the wazoo.
We do. We're writers. We can come up with them. They won't be any good, but we'll have a list this long of them. There are other things going on in the world.
Well, the one thing that comes out of this, that before we leave this real quick, because I do think this is important, and it's really not being addressed.
Okay. I know
it's not really being addressed by the major media. They're just sort of taking it in stride. We talked about this on PID Radio over the weekend. This bill creates a 12-member super Congress, a 12-member committee.
They're calling it a committee.
Yeah, they're calling it a committee.
Super Congress.
And
they're not just meeting, they are expediting.
That's right. They will be responsible for coming up with the budget cuts And whatever comes out of this committee will be fast-tracked through Congress, and the full body, the full House of Representatives, the full Senate, cannot amend these bills that this super Congress, this committee produces, and they cannot filibuster the bills. In other words, the will of the people, which is now represented, theoretically, in our representatives elected to Congress, the House and the Senate, will be in the hands of these 12 people appointed by the Democratic and Republican leadership, 6 of each party, presumably 3 members from each party, from each house. They will have the responsibility for coming up with these budget cuts to get the budget back on track. And now here's my further prediction. Once they establish this as a precedent, they will use this to start fast-tracking other legislation through Congress.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the so-called radical wings of the parties, the Tea Party on the Republican side, the Greens and Progressives on the Democratic side.
Nobody in the Republican Party, the real Republican Party, is going to complain because they want to do it too.
Yep.
They want the same power to fast-track through. Imagine Obamacare. It would have gone through in a week.
Oh, sure. If they'd had a 12-member committee of handpicked by the Democratic, by the party leadership, they would have been able to push it through in a real hurry. It's all of those guys like Ron Paul out there who just keep getting in the way. And wouldn't it be so much easier if we could just ram things through without these obstructionists?
Exactly. These serious thinkers. What do they do? Tell them to just get out of the way. Well, speaking of Dunkin' Donuts, Krispy Kreme donuts, I'm looking at the image of Dunkin' Donuts.
There's a hummingbird right outside the window there, just on that.
He wants to be on the show.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Too bad that camera's taped to the back of the thing.
You'd have to turn the whole monitor.
I found an article today that really kind of surprised me. I was not aware of this aspect of IPOs. Did you know that when a company goes public, that banks clean up?
Oh, sure.
Well, I wasn't aware of this. I found this
article
at CNBC. What banks listed, what the banks made from the Dunkin' Donuts IPO.
Oh.
Barclays made over $6 million. JP Morgan made over $6 million.
Mm-hmm.
Morgan Stanley made over $4 million.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, is this just
in
the fees? Yeah.
And that's what this article says. They pocketed millions in fees.
Right. And, getting back to the debt, I theorize, and I don't know this. This is not something I know for a fact, but I suspect that one of the reasons that the ratings agencies were pushing Congress to raise the debt ceiling is because they profit on the interest from that debt. Bankers in general.
Oh, yes.
They profit on interest from that debt. And so the more debt the United States government owes, the more interest bankers are going to earn on the money that they lend. And if they downgrade the debt so that we have to pay a higher rate of interest,
and you're going where I was about to go.
Yep.
Some are saying, regardless of any of this, that we're still going to be downgraded, and when we are downgraded, the interest rates will go up.
Yep. Now, the thing to remember is that banks do have to be certified by the Securities and Exchange Commission, so there is some leverage that the U.S. government has. But it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. There are factions at work inside the elites. It's not a monolithic block that moves in lockstep. There are guys jockeying and jostling.
Your picture is doing some kind of funky things.
Oh, I see a little red dot there in the right.
Yeah, no, I've got a red dot too. Does it mean shut up?
It could mean that we've overrun our time. I don't know.
Oh, maybe you only get so much time.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, I thought we got more than that too. Well, I'll tell you what, this is our first show, and to make sure that we don't go too long, we'll go ahead and look forward to tomorrow's show.
Right. You'll find the show notes, and we'll link to, and the news of the day.
The show notes will actually be at YouTube.
We'll be at youtube.com/PID Radio.
/users/PID Radio.
And, of course, the latest news of the day, the most important stories of the day, always at the PID News site at Facebook. Mm-hmm. Until next time, I'm Derek Gilbert.
I'm Sharon Gilbert. Bye-bye, everybody.